thumbs up. Good evening to everyone joining online. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. We will let you know as soon as the presentation will start.
I would roll it. Hello. Mic test. It's pretty good.
I can hear you.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, both to everyone who came here in person and everyone who's joining us virtually as well. We're going to start off tonight for our in-person attendees. So you must have all received a raffle ticket when you walked in today. We're going to pull the first raffle drawing for you. This is for a gold ticket to our MTA boot camp at the end of this month.
Okay. The last, do y'all have? Does everyone have their tickets? Okay. We'll give everyone a second to come in. All right. So the first winner, the last three digits, 140. Hey. Look, you came in at the right time.
We'll have a couple more raffles for you in-person attendees before the night is over. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started on the presentation. I'll be very brief for the introduction. For those of you who are not familiar with our events, we do host these socials the first Tuesday of every month in Houston. We have a couple events in Austin and Dallas as well, but all of these events are live streamed. So if you're ever interested in the education and some of the speakers that come out to these events, but you can't get down there physically, check out our YouTube page. We have all of the events that we host streamed live. In addition, they are posted after the fact, so you can always go back and view those slide decks right through our YouTube channel. We do a self-directed IRA Saturday as well. So those are purely virtual. These are going to be online at noon every Saturday, just on a series of the asset classes that you can get into when you self-direct. We also have a national networking happy hour. This is my favorite event. It is a purely virtual event, but it's essentially a Zoom call for deal pitching. So for those of you who have opportunities or are looking for them, whether or not you have IRA funds to invest or personal funds, this is an event that happens every fourth Wednesday at noon. Or apologies, I think that time is wrong. It's 6:30. So this is an after hours event, but essentially free to join, right? Register. We're going to send you that Zoom link. You can get online and deal pitch or just listen to others present their opportunities as well. Yeah. So it's on our website. I can give you my card. It'll have our website listed, and then you can go ahead and register through there. For any of those who currently have Quest accounts, feel free to refer people over. You will receive a account credit to do so. So this will pay towards your next transaction fee. We always want to mention that in case you have anyone interested in utilizing their self-directed IRA or 401k money to get into real estate as well. And finally, any questions at all, IRA specialists are here to help. We offer free consultations to talk you or your investors through what it's like to invest out of a self-directed IRA, some of the logistics and the fees that go along with that. Like I said, I was going to be very quick, so I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic along to our speaker tonight. We'll talk about how to grow your business for an eventual exit.
Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, great. Let me just. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I got this a long time ago, but unfortunately, I forgot it at the alteration place for at least a year. So it was. How are you? Thank you so much. Perfect, guys. How are you guys doing today? Good. Great, great. So by show of hands, and also hello to our streamers as well. By show of hands, can I see what kind of businesses you guys are in? Either you own a business currently, or you want to own a business, you currently work somewhere. Just kind of shout it out. It's okay. And also for the streamers, please please comment on the comment section of what business you're in, because it's going to help me determine if I could have any examples for you guys in terms of how to scale your business and how to exit as well. And I'll ask the moderator to let me know whenever someone makes a comment as well for this. Go ahead.
Accounting firm?
Accounting firm. I've seen your presentation. It was really good. What exactly in accounting firm do you do?
I'm a tax partner.
Tax partner, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Accounting firm.
Loan servicing.
Loan servicing. Great business. Anything else? Lender.
Real estate developer.
Real estate developer. Great. Land equity fund. So syndication, essentially. Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay, so I got real estate, lending, development, tax and accounting, CPA firm, loan servicing. So it's pretty diverse. Anyone from the streaming community that have said anything?
Not yet.
Okay, great. Perfect, guys. So great thing is a lot of these businesses can be built to sell as well. So towards the end, if I have any examples of this specifically, I can go over that during the Q&A section. Perfect. So a little bit about me. Okay, a little bit about me. My name is Azhar Hirani. I am a partner at a small boutique private equity firm called ZT Corporate. I have helped raise over $500 million. I have not only helped raise this money, I've also exited a lot of these positions as well, providing a liquidity for the investors for over $350 million. I've worked with over 1,000 investors. I've done syndications, and I know how to get into a business, scale the business, and then go for an eventual exit. So far, I've done over 20 exits within the syndications that I've been a part of. So here are some case studies of some of the exits that I've had in the near past. I'll go with our first one, which is Altus Infusion, which was a medical company. And the story of this is in 2012, I met two gentlemen. They were basically running infusion services out of rheumatologist clinics' offices. Essentially, what they were doing is they were renting space in their exam rooms, and where they would pay the physician a rental fee for being there, and they would provide a service where they would do all the cost, but also all the collections they would keep. And the physician keeps the rental fee. It was about $250 an hour. It was a great win-win situation because rheumatology drugs were they're very high. Sometimes it costs six figures just per patient. So it's a lot of risk for a physician to run these services themselves. So what these two gentlemen did was they would hire nurses, they would administer the whole thing, they would see the patients, they would hire the drugs, and they would collect the money. Very simple business, yet no one was doing it at that time. And I was like, this is a very good model. And at that time, they only had 5 paying clients. I said clients meaning physician offices. I approached them. I said, hey, I would love to partner up with you. I would love to invest. I would love to provide you guys growth capital. They agreed. We did a deal. We bought in 51% of their business for $3 million. Now, that $3 million I did not have at that time. So what I did was I did a syndication. I raised that capital, and I happened to raise it very quickly because it was a cash flowing positive business. But I wanted to scale that business up and eventually sell it. So fast forward about 6 years, it went from 5 paying clients to more than 50 paying clients. It became the second largest infusion therapy business for rheumatologists in the country, even though just with 50 paying clients. It was a very massive business. And then we eventually ran it for an exit. Now, the exit took a little while. It took me about more than 2 years to exit the business. That's one of the biggest exits, at the time that I had, but it just took a long time. I didn't know if I was going to go with a strategic partner, if I was going to go with a medical company, if I was going to go with a financial buyer, and it was a learning curve. But eventually we got there, and we did a sale. And it was a 3-part sale. Number 1 was it was cash at the table. Number 2 was an earnout. I was like, what the heck is an earnout? I had no clue. And then I found out that, hey, earnout is the people that are running it will stay on the business. They'll hit certain goals, certain hurdles. And after those hurdles are hit, they would get certain bonuses. And those bonuses, they would basically get an additional to what they will be getting paid to run the business. And I thought, okay, this is a very clever way of earning more earning more dollars for my investors. I actually negotiated that into the deal for my investors. So rather than getting not only the upfront cash and the closing, and the operators getting an earnout, the investors got an earnout as well. For 2 years running, we got we negotiated an earnout in the deal. Third thing was an escrow. An escrow is whenever an individual, you basically you keep that money aside for legal, for regulatory purposes, and in the healthcare industry, there's usually collections that come in, and there's certain collections that are promised. So if you don't hit that, for contingency purposes, it's contingency fund. And good thing is, after 2 years, we had no contingency issues or anything. That escrow basically came back to us as well, meaning the investors. So essentially, suddenly this deal became almost a 10 times return deal. Now, what I showed you guys here, do you guys know what kind of deal is that called? What did I do here? What kind of transaction was it? M&A. M&A, yeah, it was an M&A, correct. Anyone else? Mergers and acquisitions, yep, someone else bought the company. That's a freaking home run. That's what happened. So, yeah, exactly. And I'm going to go over cash cows as well, because there are certain regrets I've had as well running certain businesses, because what ended up happening is I ran it for too long. An example of that is I used to have imaging centers. And I think you're in that business, or I remember one of the individuals was in that business. When we started it, it was around 05, and around 07, 08, 09, we were getting $4,000 per scan. Now you'd be lucky to get $400 per scan. So it's a major dip. So I wish I had sold that business in 2011, 2012, 2013. So a lot of cash cows, unfortunately, can turn into a big liability for you as well. That's why it's important to also have an exit in mind when you get into a business. It's very, very, very important. Now, the next thing is restaurants. So basically, I had an opportunity to buy certain cash flowing Popeyes chicken sandwich, places that we're aware of, within Texas. I met an operator. He basically had 11 locations, and he was doing some consulting work for us. And unfortunately, he wasn't happy. I was like, you own Popeyes. You should be just doing that full time. Why are you doing consulting work for other people? He said, hey, I'm not happy with the current firm I'm with. The current firm that gave me the capital to do this, I'm not happy with them. They're not treating me the right way. I'm really not getting a good deal. So I said, you know what? Let's sit down. I would love to invest in this business. I know it's a small margin business, but it's a volume business. It's a non-cyclical business. It would be great for my portfolio because I'm too deep into healthcare. I would love to do something unhealthy. So so it was a great diversification play. He agreed. He came on board. We increased it from 11 to about 16 Popeyes locations. At our peak, we did about 21, and then we had to lower it down. And then we exited. And this is all within 3.5 years. We exited. We were able to pay out about 16% annualized. This is with distributions and on the sale as well. Now, the way I sold this business is there was no earnout, there was no escrow, there's nothing. It was a straight sale. That's it. Money at the closing table, and that's it. Now, when I sold this, the thing is, this one I did not sell to a financial buyer. I sold it to a strategic buyer. Okay, someone who already owned Popeyes. It was a competitor, and they wanted more market share. They had cash in the bank. It was a very easy close, a seamless transition. They were already in that business. Okay. The best thing is they did not take my operator with me. So I kept the operator. I was able to do it again in another fast food chain. So that's the advantages sometimes you have in being in known businesses where when you sell, you keep some of your management teams. Okay. One thing is about this business, and I don't regret it at all, is do you remember the craze, the spicy chicken sandwich craze that took over Houston with Popeyes? It was lines.
Me right now, man. I'm retired.
It is for me as well. I love chicken sandwiches. But from a financial standpoint, I may think I actually sold it literally like 3 months prior to that craze. So, it was unfortunate, but at the same time, I'm happy that this happened because guess what? I left a lot of meat, meat on the bone, basically for the other buyer to enjoy. So next time I have a deal, I know a person I could sell this business to very quickly. And also, it's very important that you don't want to run your business dry and then try to look for a sale. You always want to sell a business right before it peaks. When you try to sell it when the company is matured, you're not going to get the best price for it. So ideally, you want to be in a situation where you sell it right before the peak. Peak reminds me of Pine Peak Healthcare. Go ahead.
What year was that?
It was around 2017. Yeah, 2017. I was in it from, I think, 2014, 15, 16, 17, I sold it. Pine Peak Healthcare. This was an opportunity where a group from Northeast had bought some hospitals and surgical centers in Texas. They were first-time buyers in Texas. They didn't know the rules and regs and how to deal with physicians here. So they had 4 hospitals, 4 surgical centers. They were running it. They were doing an okay job. But we met with them and they said, hey, we don't know what we're doing. We know these businesses are profitable. We just can't find it. At that time, they had started these businesses with a bunch of notes. They were paying a lot of high interest loans to their investors, and they were just making the payments. They weren't able to extrapolate the profit in the business. So we said, we didn't even say anything. They just wanted us to consult. We said, hey, that's not what we do. So they basically said, hey, would you like to partner up with us? We said, you know what? We will slowly buy your business, and then if things don't work out, we will just back away. We ended up doing that. And this is during COVID. This is happening during COVID time. March, April, May, in 2020. We started buying their business, and quickly we were able to find the profit. We turned their debt into our equity. Things worked out well. We expanded a few more locations, and guess what? They called us and saying, "Thank you very much. We would like to buy you guys back." So within 6 months, they gave us an offer we couldn't refuse, and we're able to sell the business. So a lot of times what happens is there's a lot of opportunistic acquisitions as well you can make. and you could exit out of them very quickly as well. So you always want to be ready for those kind of opportunities as well. It can be in your business or someone else's business if you have an operator in play. And I'm going to go over that as well. Is the mic working okay? Yeah. Okay, great. Now, when you enter a business, and I'm sure a lot of the business owners here, when you entered a business, you had a thesis in mind of what you will do with that business. Am I correct? Right? So whoever has that hasn't got into a business, I would have you implore that. And you know what? When you get into a business, and also if you're into the business as well, just have an investment thesis or a business thesis written down. Okay? If you don't have it written down, you want to think about it first. You want to visualize where do you want to enter the business, where do you want to take this business, and what is your end goal. That is very, very important. Because one thing you'll regret is you will think that, you know what, I'm going to take this business and I'm going to work in it for 30 years, and then I'm going to sell it for a lot of money and I'll retire. Unfortunately, that may not happen. Because if you're thinking that way, guess what you are? You're a solopreneur. You're not really an entrepreneur. You're not really an enterprise owner. What you've done for yourself is essentially bought yourself a job. Because what ends up happening is you are the rock star of your business. You are the key person in your business. And the key is to be the least important person. That is very, very important to understand. And it's really hard concept for a lot of people to understand that, you know what, when you enter a business or when you start up a business, they think I'm very good in marketing. I'm just going to do the marketing. And then I know that I need to fulfill the customers. I'm going to do that. Oh, a customer needs this. I'm a go-getter. I'm going to go, fulfill this order in. Oh, there's a problem there. I'm going to be there first. I'm going to show my team that I work so hard as the owner, and have my team. I'm going to have my team follow me. And that's not the right way of doing business. That is not the right way of doing business. Because guess what? There'll be burnout. There's no enterprise value, meaning you're not creating any value. Essentially, what you've done is create yourself a job that is very tiring, that pays well, but you're not going anywhere with it. Because guess what? If you try to sell this business, you will get a very, 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 very low valuation for this business. Because the buyer that's looking at this business is going to say, hey, the key person who is running the deal, they're very much dependent on this person. So your goal is to do the opposite. Does everyone understand that concept so far?
Yeah.
Yep. Your goal is to be enterprise-minded. You want to be an enterprise owner. You want to be a true entrepreneur. Okay? I know if you Google or Chat GPT the definition of entrepreneur, it's actually giving you a definition of a solopreneur. But my definition of an entrepreneur is an enterprise owner. What you want to do is, as a person running the business, you want to be at the lowest of the lowest of the lowest on the totem pole in your business. You need to be invincible. Not invincible, but invisible. Sorry. Do you remember in the beginning, I introed myself and I said, I raised $500 million. I helped sell $350 million worth of businesses. I have sold 20 plus limited partnerships, and I have done 50 limited partnerships. Do you guys remember that? Well, technically, I lied. And the reason I say that is I personally didn't go up to 1,000 investors and raise $500 million. I was a part of it. It was my team that did it. When I sold these businesses, I didn't know anything about selling. I had the right team in place that knew how to sell a business, that had done it before in other companies, that were able to do this. I had a team in place to write these investor relations letters. I had a team in place to do the accounting for it. As a solopreneur, I could have never done this. So technically, I didn't do any of it, but yet I did. I could take the credit for it, right? Technically, Elon Musk did not build Tesla. But electronic vehicles is synonymous with Elon Musk. He did not even start it. He came in way later. He was just an investor in it. And I promise you, Tesla's work without him while he's working at Twitter. Do you guys get that concept?
Yes.
It's very hard to understand it sometimes. I hope some of you guys are having the aha moment right now. That, you know what? Crap. I know my business makes a lot of money, but no one's going to buy the damn thing because I have to go with it. And ideally, you want to run the business where you're not needed. And it's okay to feel that way. The way to run these businesses is get an operator. Get it, and they will build your team out. And I'm going to go over that in this presentation. So the 4-step process that I've followed, and it's worked out well for me. And it's very, very simple. Very simple. And I learned it much later on. It is acquire or startup. You can do either or. It is professionalize, which is very, very important. A lot of people skip the professionalize and they go up to right away to scaling their business. But you don't want to scale your business until you professionalize your business. You have the right team in place. And I'll go over that as well. Third thing is scaling the business. And then fourth thing, the most fun part of it all, is getting paid, is exiting the business. And exiting for big, big dollars. You guys are with me? Okay. Perfect. Ground up and purchase is very simple. What you want to do is either you start up a business that you know is scalable, can be professionalized, meaning you can have a good team around you, and then can go for an eventual exit. Okay. A lot of the businesses I heard today, they can be scalable. I've seen it being scalable, and I've seen it sell as well. Okay. But you want to choose the right kind of business to be in to do that. Okay. Now, professionalize. This is the toughest part. This is who can you get to replace you? Now, that's tough on many, many levels. Number one level it's tough on is on your ego. It's very tough to think that someone else can do a better job than you. Trust me, I've been through it. Very, very tough. But there are people out there that can, and you should be willing to give a lot of these things up. Okay? That's number one. Number two is you want to hire very, very good audit grade finance and accounting teams. And you don't necessarily have to hire them. Your operator needs to hire them. You just need to hire the operator. And the best thing is, and I learned this way later, guess what? There are consulting firms out there that'll do all the search for you. You don't have to go anywhere to get these guys. That's the beauty of it. Because a lot of times, we kind of overthink ourselves that where am I going to get someone? I don't have a network. I'm not that social. And if I find someone that's going to be local in my vicinity, it's not going to be the right person. But there are firms out there that'll place a lot of these guys for you. That's the beauty of it. And they will hire your middle management. They will hire your audit grade teams. And when I say audit grade, I'll give you guys an example. I'm going to take it back 2007 when only, $50,000 used to go through per month in revenue. And that's it. So I had a specific team for that. Then I started getting $100,000 a month revenue coming in. And suddenly I noticed that the person that was running the cash for me were not equipped to handle $100,000 a month. Just from $50,000 to $100,000. Then fast forward 2009, 2010, where $1 million were going through a system per month. I suddenly realized the person that's handling the cash is not the controller or the CFO is not equipped to handle this kind of dollars coming into the system. Again, had to make the harsh decision to get someone senior above them. And sometimes you have to demote people. You don't even have to demote them. Just hire someone else, they'll leave themselves. That's what ends up happening. Okay? But it's very important that the team that you start off with typically doesn't end up with you as you grow. And it's the hardest thing because a lot of people, when I go to businesses, when I talk to business owners, guess what they tell me? Oh, we're a family here. We're a family company. A lot of you guys do that. Some of you guys do that. I treat my business, team as a family. It happens, which is great. But unfortunately, the family's not growing up with you unless they want to grow themselves, unless they are constantly improving themselves as well. Okay? So it's important to always improve, always get better folks than how you're running it. It's very, very important. Another thing is professionalize means you need to document everything that you guys do and make it into policies and procedures. Okay? Because what you're doing is you're building a playbook. When you're about to sell the business, you literally want to give a playbook to your buyer. Because guess what? You're going to get a premium for that business. Because you're proving to them that, hey, once I step away after the closing table, everything remains the same, and you'll be able to operate this business very, very smoothly without me. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yeah, on the acquisition side, do they know that you're going to take an exit soon?
Yeah, so great question. Usually you only want to let your top management teams know that you'll be exiting, not the mid-management or the employees or the your staff members.
Owners that you approach when you go to acquire, do they know that you're going to be exiting?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you don't go. So the way I'll go over that part. That's a very important part. You don't go to your eventual buyers directly. You don't meet them at some point, like at a bar or a dinner or anything. You go through a process essentially, and I'll go over that part in detail actually. Okay, that's a very good question. Okay. Another very, very important part of this professionalization is marketing and sales. You need to be building a world-class organization for marketing and sales. Okay? They're literally like an engine and an oil. They work together. One of them makes your business go faster, and the other one makes your business last for a long time. Me personally, I like to spend a lot more time on the branding and the sales side of things. That's just a passion of mine. But as the entrepreneur, you have to decide what you're passionate about, and you could spend time in that part of that business. But it's very, very, very important because the better this is, all problems get solved with more revenue. I promise you that. Okay. The third part is scaling. Now, this is a fun part. This is where you grow. You could grow organically, or you could acquire other businesses as well. Now, that's a tough thing to do because guess what? You're making all this money and you're trying to reinvest into the business, but it's not enough to scale quickly enough. So guess what you do? You raise capital. You raise capital two ways. Either you can go to the bank first. Ideally, always go to the bank first. Okay? Because guess what? You already have a bankable business until then. And it's funny, the way banks will throw money at you if you have shown even a little bit of success. But if you go to a bank with a concept, they're not giving you any money at all. So first, you go to the bank in order to scale. If you want to acquire more businesses, or if you want to organically grow, or you can raise more money through investors. The way I like to do it is through private notes. Flexible, it's easy. I don't have to give up a lot of equity to do that. Or I've done it in the past where I've given up equity as well in order to get investors in. Really depends on the deal. Are you guys with me? Great. Now the fun part. This is where you get paid. But it is a bitch to do. And the reason I say that is your emotions are going to go through a lot of roller coasters. Usually you think that you will sell your business very quickly. Oh, it's a done-for-you model. It's a turnkey model. How long is it going to take? 90 days? 6 months? And it's going to take a minimum of 9 months up to 18 months, sometimes longer. It could take time. It could take time. So ideally, if you want to exit, Remember, you entered a business thinking of an exit beforehand when you were doing your thesis. That means that before you were wanting to exit, you're prepping. Your number one thing that you do while prepping is hire either a broker, if you're a small business, or if you're a large business, you hire an investment bank or a mergers and acquisition advisor. Get them on your team first. Okay? And at that time, you're selling. You're trying to find the best investment advisor. You're trying to convince those brokers. You're trying to convince those investment bankers, why should you work with me when I'm trying to sell the business? Okay? But when you convince them enough and they like it enough, now they will convince you why we should work with them. That's how it goes. Okay? It's a dating period because you're talking to a lot of these bankers. Okay? And they will be posturing that, hey, we don't want to take a deal. But if the deal is good enough, they will be selling you right after. I promise you that. Okay? Once you go through the engagement period, typically depends, you get what you pay for. Okay? Usually in small businesses, a broker can take up to 10%. But it's a small business. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of legwork. It's a lot of people that, give them a call, kind of waste their time, things like that. They go through that a lot. But if it's a little bit of bigger business, if it's a transaction above $10 million, it's usually percentage based from 2 to 5%. Also, at the same time, there's usually a retainer fee that they take. And it's usually, $50,000 to $100,000 as a retainer, and it's built into that fee of 2% to 5%. The way their fees work is the higher number that they sell that business for, their fees actually go up. It's weird, but it's amazing, and I'll tell you why. There are certain hurdles that they need to hit to get a bigger percentage, and that works in your favor as the business owner. You wouldn't want your investment banker to sell and make 2%. Let's say if the deal is at 2%, they need to sell at least for 10 million. But to make 3%, they need to sell for at least 20 million. Guess what he's going to try to do? Sell for that 20 million. So their fees are stair-stepped high, which I love. Okay, so it's a win-win situation for all the parties. After you've engaged with them, you guys can go through a process. You guys are going to make a CIM, confidential information memorandum. Essentially, that is the playbook of the business. Okay, that is what you're shopping around. That is what's going to be the item that's going to help sell your business. Okay, you're going to set up a data room. Data room means it's going to be like a Dropbox type of component that the eventual buyers will be able to look at your financials, look at all these records, look at all the data, basically, about your business. They've already signed all the confidentiality agreements by this stage. Okay. Next step is you want to make sure as a seller, you're getting quality of earnings done on the seller side. So quality of earnings is whenever a person buys your business, they're going to do due diligence on your business. They're going to see that, hey, if you're telling them that I make X, Y, and Z, they're going to try to reconfirm that you do make X, Y, and Z. And why do you make X, Y, and Z? So to make it easier, to make it faster, you want to prove your theory that you do make this X, Y, and Z. From the seller side, you want to do a quality of earnings on your own. Okay? After all these things are done, then comes a dating period. You'll be dating a lot of potential buyers. Okay? You're going to meet a lot of them. Not you alone, but you and your topmost management teams. And it's a sales process. You're convincing them why they should why should they be buying your business. You're selling a story. And your investment banker is going to help you come up with that story. Okay? Now, the next part is once that is done, then comes the letter of intents, LOIs. Let's say if you met more than 100 potential buyers, you'll probably get 10 or 15 letter of intents. Once you do that, you get to choose. They get to choose. They'll basically the next phase is to go through more due diligence further down, aka more time, and then you go through a asset purchase agreement. Asset purchase agreement means pretty much you have the deal done. After the AP, it's called the APA. After the APA is done, usually anywhere between a 30-day to a 90-day close. And guess what? The best time to negotiate is when? Come on, guys. A lot of you real estate folks, when's the best time to negotiate?
During the option period,
During the option period, what else?
right before closing.
Right before closing. The day of the closing, you guys have no idea how many things suddenly come up. You've probably seen your clients go through that. Yeah. Yeah. And these transactions are so tiring. When you go through these sales, it's booklets and booklets and booklets and booklets of information that you have to sign. You're already tired. You're beaten up. You've already wasted 18 months of your life. And then someone changes something on you. Guess what you're going to do?
You're going to make it happen.
Yep. You're going to sign it. So whatever you start off thinking you're going to get for this business, cut that for 30% minimum. And guess what, guys? Congrats, you got paid. So I'm done. I'm going to open it up for questions. Perfect. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
I see, excuse me, specifically you've done
Mhm.
ongoing businesses and so forth. What do you do? Have you any experience with real estate and
Yes.
development kind of programs and things like that?
Yes. It's a great way to earn money, but it's not a great way to build enterprises. In good times, developers do well. In bad times, unfortunately, they struggle. For banking, banks get a little tougher to get lending. It's hard to kind of hold out, a few more years in development. A lot of deals can get stuck because as a developer, you're reliant on the city, you're reliant on someone else. So it's hard to scale that business. But there are a few businesses that are development companies that are able to scale it, but very far and few between. And I've not seen a lot of development companies last for a long time. So I have personally developed, certain lands, certain businesses, certain office buildings, but it was not scalable. So I used to have a construction company, and I got rid of that actually because I couldn't scale it. Yeah.
There's a question online.
Yeah.
How do I get a marketing service-based business to buy?
A marketing-based business.
Marketing or service-based business to buy. Yeah.
Great. Oh, I love this question. So a marketing-based business, meaning you have to be selling more in order to make more money. That's what I'm kind of thinking. It's a great business to sell because guess what? Either you could do the selling, or if you have a good playbook and you get good people around you to sell for you, you will get the best valuation for this kind of business. These businesses cash flow like crazy because guess what? Once you have someone sign a document, sometimes a yearly agreement, a 3-year agreement, some 6-month agreement, or a month-to-month agreement, they're going to still stick with you because people hate changing companies. I know for a fact I pay a lot more for my electricity bill, but I'm not going to go through the hassle to change for all my properties and myself and things like that. I know my teaser rate's already gone. I don't want to change. Do you guys want to change?
Yes.
Unless you move, which is great. And
If you have 10 properties, it's not as easy.
right, it's just the thought of it just tires me out sometimes, So I agree. Go ahead.
You may have covered this up. Sorry, best and worst industries. Best and worst industries and companies.
So the best and worst are really limited to my experience. But I can tell you right off the bat, and I don't want to offend anyone, but right off the bat, I'm not a big fan of a lot of these oil and gas companies. And the reason is, and I've said that in the past as well in a lot of my talks, that unfortunately, I've not seen a lot of them win. And I hate it when investors or anyone that are my friends or any of the deals that they're in, they're going to lose their principal. I absolutely hate it. Yes, there are very good companies out there. So I'm not knocking it as an industry. I'm knocking it as a syndication, as an investment that someone can do. Because yes, you have a lot of tax benefits, and fortunately, you get to keep those tax benefits. But sometimes, if it goes to zero, that's a tax benefit in itself. If I think about it. But I've seen a lot of deals kind of go kaput. Recently, they've made a comeback for the last 5 years. I've seen that, but I've seen it from since 07, 08, 9, 10. I've experienced at least 15 funds that I've followed. Only one of them has paid out. Yeah. Great.
What's more challenging, acquisitions or dispositions?
Very good question. So what's more challenging? I would say challenging is acquisitions. Dispositions is still a little rough, but you're already in the business. You're already cash flowing. It's not that hard.
Do you treat it similar to like you would like a wholesaling team or a real estate team where you have like you're the almost operator of the acquisition and disposition?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be really involved. That's the part. That is where your expertise kind of comes in. You know the story why you got into the business. You know the story why you've built a team around you. Those are the things that you need to be involved in. As an entrepreneur, that's when you're going to get paid, and your investors are going to get paid. Yep. And the reason.
Acquisitions guys are probably getting paid a bonus when they were.
Absolutely. Make sure. The one thing I realized is we used to do like equities and stuff like that for, having equity in the company. What we did is not only that, we went a step above and said, hey, you get what you kill. You eat what you kill. So everything's incentivized. And productivity just went up. Our management teams went down because guess what? Everyone's self-motivated. And I have over 4,000 employees. So everything has to be incentivized, has to be win-win, and that's it. You will see a dramatic difference in your teams.
How many cold callers do you have?
I basically have a few out of Philippines, but I don't do that anymore, actually. I used to love cold calling. I used to spend a lot of time in the marketing department. Cold calling, cold emailing. But unfortunately, that part I'm a little behind now. But I used to have a lot of marketers, used to go door to door meaning to physicians, the medical reps. I used to have a bunch of those as well. But
Heard of the ERC program or scaling that business, like the employee retention credit?
yeah, I've seen it. It's blowing up. I see ads on CNBC all day, every day. And the first ad that I had seen was a friend of mine called me, and he was an attorney, and he was doing retention credits. This is during the pandemic, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. And guess what? This guy ended up selling his business for $150 million. So he was a brilliant guy. So yes, it's a great business to be in. But I unfortunately, I don't know enough about the business. I could just give you an example of someone I know who took an advantage of an opportunity, and they ended up selling that business. And I believe he sold it to Equifax like one of these like credit companies. To help answer that question, is really lingering in my mind. You had said the best industries and the worst industries. I gave you the worst. Now let me give you the best. Certain best industries that I like is that they don't go away. I like real estate. The only problem with real estate, it's hard to scale. It takes a little while. And it's not really a business, it's a great investment. I like it. I'm personally not in that business, but I know that just, as you build wealth, a great way to do so is through real estate. Industry-wise, I love healthcare. I love healthcare. I've done 4 industries so far. I've done banks, I've done dealerships, I've done apartment complexes, and just medical office buildings, like real estate, essentially. Construction, I've done those. And then I have done healthcare. Nothing beats healthcare. Higher margins, here to stay, people have to pay, you're dealing with governments, you're dealing with insurance companies, and guess what? That's what the money is at, right? That's where it's seated in America. One of the biggest items in the GDP is healthcare and defense and these things. So I really like healthcare as an industry, and you could do a lot with it. The only thing is the barrier of entry is slightly higher, but I have a trick to that. Basically, go to any of these companies that you're interested in, like a hospice or home healthcare, or any ancillary services or pharmacy. Just work there as a minimum like employee, and then just kind of prove your worth there. You'll rise up very quickly because unfortunately there's not a lot of competent folks in that space to begin with. So you will be able to rise very, very quickly if you're a superstar, if you're a stud. Learn the business, tell your boss, you'll partner up with them, you'll be the operator for the next deal. I bet you operators are needed. You will become the next operator. Once you become the next operator, you'll help exit that business. You do it again on your own. Any questions? Anyone online?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? Go ahead.
In terms of like healthcare, how do you feel about senior living homes?
Yeah, I love senior living homes. I love senior living homes. Again, that's a real estate play more than the operations. It's a scalable business as well, but it's scalable, but with thin margins still. Even though they have higher margins than apartment complexes, I do know that. But yeah, I can get, I know my rents are higher and things like that, but I can't take that per customer to go from 10,000, per month to take them to 10,000, like 100,000 a month per customer. But in a business, I can. So again, it's very limited to me, but it's a great business space to be in. And you will find a lot of investors if you ever do it. A lot of people are interested in that. And again, another nugget: go to physicians. They love investing in senior living and assisted living and things like that.
You had mentioned loan servicing, great business or something, but it's low margin. Would you say I have to go nationwide in order to make it scalable?
No. There's so much opportunity within your own town. You won't even believe it. How many customers do you have? And you could just say a ballpark number.
Oh, like
5, right?
We do like 300 notes.
Right, which is nothing. You think there's more than 300 notes in Harris County alone? Yeah. So now you have to start thinking, why am I not capturing that? What can I tweak? Is it my operations? Is it my turnaround time? Do I need to, have a team overseas that can do a lot of my marketing? Can I hire some marketing folks? And guess what, guys? The scariest thing in business is hiring a marketing team, because we think the ROI is you need it right away, but it's not. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of playing the long game. Again, it needs to be part of your investment thesis or your business thesis. You need to just determine that, hey, this money is going in regardless if I get a return or not, but I'm going to try it and I'm going to stick with it for, a couple of years. It takes a while. But you will see that first you'll start off with sales, then you'll start off into marketing. First, you need to do sales first, like more tactical, one-on-one, the cold callings, the cold emails. You have no idea how many. I used to have a marketing company, and I did it for fun. I had done it with an operator. Everyone told me email marketing's dead, doesn't work, this and that. We set it up in a way that we got a hold of every physician in the United States. We got their email addresses. We started sending emails. Every 250 emails that were sent, we had one response. Out of every 1,000 emails sent, we got a client. And guess what? The list was more than 1 million physicians. Guess how many clients I could have had? I did that business just purely for fun. I was not even involved. I was just involved in the strategy of it. But imagine that, something as just emails that go into spam and things like that. But people respond to it, especially as busy as physicians. So imagine if you're sending that to other folks. Go ahead.
Not to be naive, but where did you get a list of every physician's email address in America?
So I paid someone with a bottle of scotch. I kid you not. He was a programmer. He actually got a hold of it through, he had run a program through one of these Sales Genie type websites or there was a glitch and he kind of gamed it and he had the list. So he said he was bragging about it that, hey, you want physicians list? I have it. I said, what will it take? And then he said like McAllen 21 or something, like something crazy. And I was like, that's nothing, because that list costs about $150,000 to get. But you can get a smaller version. There are bootleg websites out there that'll sell the same list for a lot cheaper. What I'm trying to say is, if it's in your investment thesis or business thesis, guys, you can make it happen. I promise you that. But if you get stuck up of like, where am I going to get this? Where am I going to get that? It's, you're not going to go a lot of places. And ideally, I want all of you guys to build an amazing business that you guys can take advantage of and sell it for a lot of profit. Because trust me, I was too late. I had built so many random businesses, I meaning the enterprise. But we sold too late. We didn't sell right before the peak. We started selling when it wasn't sexy anymore. That industry wasn't there anymore. Hospices, we should have sold a long time ago. We sold it very late. Home health cares, we should have sold a long time ago. We didn't, sell it. Sleep center, should have sold it way long ago. I was decades off on that one. Imaging centers, again, a decade off. But I learned I'll never do that mistake again. Each time I enter a business, I already know an exit. I know the time horizon. I know exactly what it takes. And it can be replicatable. And guess what, guys? It is simple. Do the simple. Don't try to complicate these businesses at all.
Your business thesis that you're talking about seems to be a little bit broader because you keep talking about adding things to the thesis.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through a little bit through the thesis, like what that looks like from beginning to end.
Great. So my thesis is I want to be in a very specific, like me personally, my thesis currently is I want to be in the ER business, the standalone ER business that already runs. I don't need, customers don't come in because they know John, they know Mary. No, they come in because they're hurt. I want to get into that business. I wanted to make sure that it's in a good location. I'm going to cherry pick the locations. And guess what? There's already an operator there. Guess who are the operators in these things? Who do you see when you go in? ER physicians. You already have an operator. What better operator to have? Everyone trusts physicians, so you already have an operator. You need an administrator and things like that, but that's easy. So my thesis is go get into cash flowing emergency rooms, build big enough to run and exit within 3 to 5 years. And I say 3 to 5 because guess what? I know it takes 18 months to sell. I'm going to roll up majority of the ERs in Texas. I already have 16 of them. I'm going to buy 10 plus as well very soon. We're in the asset purchase agreement right now. Do I know how to see patients? No. Do I know anything about this business? Very little. But I have an investment thesis. I entered the business with an exit in mind. I don't want to personally run it. I just need an operator there. I don't want the business to be reliant on the operator. I could change the operators whenever I want. I want to exit. And people want to buy these businesses, and it's a high margin business. I hope I answered your question. Yeah. Perfect, guys. Any more questions?
How do you determine, your thesis is you want ERs? Now, you know that you personally are interested in healthcare, but if you didn't have a thesis, where do you begin? What kind of business?
I love it. So on a smaller level, what I used to do for fun is I used to go on these websites, a biz, buy, sell. These websites that sell businesses and buy businesses. And for fun, I would just send them offers or send them confidentiality agreements, things like that, just to learn about their business. It's a very not so nice way to doing it. But guess what? I got to learn about every damn business in Texas. How a nail salon works, how a hair salon works, how a barbershop works, how a mobile clinic works, how do these, doggy day trainers work, all kinds of stuff. I just got information on it. I never acted upon it. I never opened up a competitor. I never like broke any rules. But I got a good study of it. I basically went to the University of BizBuyAndSell.com. That's what ended up happening. So I did like, this is in the past. I've done like silly things like that. But I got a good idea of what to be a part of. And guess what? My friends ended up doing a lot of these businesses that I ended up investing in. So
How do you feel about franchises?
I love them. It comes with the brand, less risky. It's okay to pay off the top line. I've been involved with Hardee's, Carl's Jr., and Popeyes. A good franchise makes you and breaks you. A bad franchise just breaks you, unfortunately. So pick a good franchise. Don't try to bind. A lot of these franchises sell you a story of a turnaround. Things are not good now. I have new management. I'm going to turn things around. Things like that. Don't fall for that. Go to a good brand. I love certain franchises like corporate cleanings places. I love like there's certain plans that you could get in at a low barrier of entry, and it's a great business to get in. But I like franchises in total, in like totality. Any particular ones you're thinking of?
I mean, we were looking at like UPS stores.
The routes and like, is it the routes you were looking at, or these stores that you go in?
Standalone pack and post.
Great business. Unfortunately, it's very owner dependent. There's not enough margin for you to be out of that business and for it to be run with employees, because it is a very thin margin business.
Very thin.
Yeah. So, good business. I have no knock against it. It's a good way to start building some money from it. Then you could exit. Unfortunately, you can't raise the enterprise value in that business. It's very labor sensitive as well. And it's a decent business to be in, but you're essentially buying yourself a high-paying job. That's what it is. So
Anything car washes?
I love car washes. Express ones or great. Love car washes. They're a cash cow. So the great thing about a car wash is if you build it as a brand, you could exit for crazy loads of amounts. I'm gonna get with you. I think online has a question.
Yes. What's your take on childcare daycare business?
I love it. I love daycares. I love car washes. I love these businesses. These are specialty businesses. It can be replicatable, but guess who's gonna win? He who spends most dollars on marketing. And guess what? Unfortunately, I have friends who do car washes. I have two types of friends who do car washes. I have some successful friends that do car washes, and they kill it, like kill it. And I have friends who do car washes that are still sending out coupons and like they're not doing it the right way. And guess my other friend is killing this person. So they're competitors essentially in both of my friends.
What is your you recommend for marketing?
Maximum amount. No, seriously.
I mean, like
I love going
10,
hard.
15, 20.
I hate looking at a percentage. I basically look at it as if I'm going to make an investment, or anyone who makes an investment, they think their return on investment is going to be 8%, 10%, 12%. So I look at marketing as an investment that, hey, I'm going to invest this money. I'm going to forget about it. I'm not going to forget about it. I'm going to be involved, but I'm just going to forget about that I spent this money. And even if I get 20% back that year, that's a huge success for me. But what I'm doing is I'm building that investment up that's going to pay me later. That's how I look. That's my mindset had to shift in the past, because I would do events. I've done like these corporate events, like trade shows and things like that. I've done booths, and I would think, you know what? I've spent $20,000 today. Will I be making $40,000? And sometimes I wouldn't. I would make zero, and I would come home dejected and not do a trade show for like a year. That's not a good way of living. You know what? If you have a good strategy and if you look at it as an investment, changes your whole perspective on how you look at marketing dollars. I hate correlating, marketing budget according to the business I'm doing today, because I'm not marketing for today. I'm marketing for years down the line. I hope that helps answer your question. Yeah.
How often do you have to sign a no compete on the exit?
All the time. So a lot of these non-competes are actually quite long, usually 10 years. So
If you find yourself as an operator, how do you make the switch with the owner so that when that exit might happen, you're not left, hanging?
can you
Like
go?
I'm the operator in the loan servicing business, not the owner. How do I approach the owner to make sure when I build this thing up that I'm part of that exit?
No, I love it. So what you do is, and that's a very good question. He's saying that he's the operator right now, not the owner. How does he negotiate this with the owner? That hey, when this exit happens, he wants to get something out of it, like a kicker or an upside. A great way to do so without asking for equity right away, because the easy answer is I could be like, yeah, get some equity on the deal. But guess what? Owners hate giving up equity. So what you negotiate is, can you get some warrants in the business? That's how you tell them. Your owner is going to say, what the hell is a warrant? So what you tell them is like, look, I'm going to help build you a business. And at some point, at a certain level, it's an option that I'll create to buy the business. But that option can be until by the time you sell, okay? Or at a certain time, it's up to you to exercise it. And you will pay the fair market value, or you could do a strike price, or you could do a fair market value, either or. But you can negotiate a warrant in your deal. Never do a certain percentage on a sale, because they could change your agreement on the day of the closing. Because guess what? Like when they see what they're going to sell for and they see a lower number, they're not going to oblige, So, and a lot of times certain companies, there's a stock sale, there's an asset sale. In one of them, if it's one or the other, you may get screwed on the deal. So you don't want that. Usually just negotiate a warrant on your deal.
Can it be to increase the equity, or
It could be anything you would like. Yeah, it can be very flexible. Yeah. But I highly recommend, because what he was trying to do is be an entrepreneur within the business. He wants to be that entrepreneur that the owner can rely on. And you also want something out of a business. And that's a great way of looking at it, because you have a safety net in your business and you're going to get the upside, hopefully, when something happens. But you don't want to be in that hopeful mindset. You want to make sure that you secure your future today. And I like warrants personally, but there are other ways to do so as well. Other types of options out there.
Another question online also, how do we find operators and vet them?
Say that again. How do we find operators and vet them?
Mhm.
A very good question. So the way I like to find operators usually is I ask around that I have this business. Do you know someone? But now it's come to a point where the scale is so large that I hire recruiting companies to find it for me. And I found that way later. And it's very expensive, because essentially a normal recruiting firm, to find you an accountant or like someone normal, like not an accountant, but like, a bookkeeper and things like that, they usually charge 15 to 20%. But these specialty services, like getting an operator, getting someone like on the executive team, they're a lot higher. They typically go up to 33%. And you have to sign an exclusivity with them. And it's quite extensive. It's very high stakes. You have to put a retainer down. But I kid you not, they find you the best people. They find you very specialized people, because that's what they do. They will scrape people's LinkedIn. They will hound them. They will get an interview, and they will convince that person why they should be joining our company versus some other company. So recruiters are a great tool, because I used to struggle with that, actually, that, hey, mentally, there was a mental block that where am I going to get these guys? Where am I going to get this guy? But then I found out the world of consultancy. There are consultants out there to do all these things for you.
They do vetting for you.
Everything for me. Everything for me. I just have to show up on the interview. And that too, till by the time I show up, it's already the second or third interview. So, and I recently figured that out, actually. So,
The company I use will bring me 2 or 3 candidates.
Yep.
And I'll sit there and talk to them about those candidates and narrow it down, and then they'll bring the candidates in.
exactly. That's exactly how it works. Yep. But I hope online for the streamers that helped answer the question. And the way I vet them is there are companies that do extensive research on these guys. And sometimes I know that I see resumes all the time. It's like they've built a bunch of Teslas already out there. I mean, they exaggerate the crap out of it. So I just kind of take it with a grain of salt, and I just commend them for their confidence. And even their background checks don't come out to what they say. I'm okay with that because at least they tried. As long as there's no like misdemeanor or felony and things like that in their record, I'm always willing to hire fast. I hire fast, but then I also fire fast as well. So that's the main mentality. And one thing I hire for that's very important to me is attitude. That's the only one thing I tell everyone in an interview is if you want to stick with me is you got to have a stellar attitude. I'm okay with everything except you need to have a very good attitude, because if you have a good attitude, you can help grow this business. You're going to keep the customers happy. You're going to keep the staff happy. Hence, you'll do well. Perfect, guys. Guys, I hope this talk was, to your value. Like I was able to provide some value to you guys. So I have my team here as well. If you have any questions, if you can't catch me, I have Miss Priya there. I have Miss Renee there. I have Kevin here. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let us know. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.